see people are on the screen share. Let me check and make sure we are focused. If you're doing a puzzle or perhaps playing Infinite Craft, hang on for just a second because I want to show you a couple things that are going to be really useful for your project number 2. This week is themed around making multi-page websites, and it'll be related to your entry and your exit tasks today. I'll go over all that here in just a sec. So, our weekly theme, as a reminder, you don't have school this Friday the 13th, so it's only a 4-day week. It's a weather makeup day, so you have a 3-day weekend. I am not here from Tuesday to Thursday, so be good for the sub, for your classmates, and for all classroom folks. You guys have Miss Colbert and Mr. Tyson. And the weekly theme of what I'm teaching or what you're practicing is multi-page sites, okay? For today, I want to show you how to use the anchor tag to create multi-page sites. We're also going to make a new route, so you'll get a chance to practice the naming scheme as well as get a new folder ready to keep things organized. And today I want you focused on content creation for project number 2. And I'll go over all that here in just a second. Your outcomes from this week and from today in general are your first multi-page website, as well as demonstrating your expertise, like the thing that you mentioned that you're an expert on. You'll be able to write a multi-page site about that thing, okay? You get more practice using flexboxes. You get more practice using layout this week. And as a reminder, I'll be, this is due next Thursday, the 19th. So we have some time next week to recover, and then we'll do something fun on the 20th, okay? Project number 2, like I mentioned, is due next Thursday, and the methods of completing it are going to be Canvas resources, make your site functional and then pretty, so function and then form, collaborate with each other, with the resources, with the classroom assistants you have in class, and by applying your past lessons, all the different stuff we've covered in our couple weeks of web design so far, your knowledge is going to start to snowball. You're going to start to see, hi, welcome in. You're going to start to see how these pieces connect together, as well as how you can start applying them in specific ways, okay? So we'll figure out tracking your progress a little bit later. We'll wrap that up here shortly. Okay, so what I want to show you, some of you have already taken a look at it thus far, is project number 2, which is a DIY wiki page, okay? And you can see right here, it does not have a rubric yet, which means it doesn't have points at the moment. Your DIY wiki page needs to have at least 3 pages using the anchor tag, and I will show you how to do that today, because we're going to create a new route for project number 2, and you'll be working on it this week while I'm away. These are ideas. You do not have to have the exact steps that you see below here under number 1. So for example, if you're creating a Wikipedia for a specific artist, like a music artist, a visual artist, a YouTuber, a Twitch streamer, whatever, TikTok influencer, you could have something like a homepage, a history of this influencer, and then a gallery of their work, okay? And then if you're creating some kind of wiki for a video game, you can have the homepage where it introduces. You could have something related to community guides, kind of like what Steam has or Reddit has. And then you could add strategies. I've been playing a lot of Slay the Spire 2 recently, and there's a lot of different ways that you can complete that game. So it's cool to talk with your friends about that. If you're creating a movie or a show wiki, you could have a Hall of Fame related to who's involved in the show. You could have specific recommendations for people to watch if they like the show. These are all ideas of how you could set up your multi-page wiki. Again, you do not have to use these. These are just ideas to help you get started. Yes, you can. If it's too tall, we can lower it down. Be tall. Good job. Be careful. Don't fall. So you also need to have 10... You also need to have 10 images related to your topic. They can be from the internet or local, as long as there are a minimum of 10 across your 3 pages. And you should section your web page to include at least 1 flexbox with at least 3 flex children. What I recommend, you can see right here, is 1 general flex container with sections, asides, and then a navigation bar. And I'll show you how to do all of that by Thursday. Don't panic if that doesn't make sense to you right now. You have a lot of time to complete this. There's a couple recommendations. You can in 4th period, you can ask Miss Colbert or Mr. Tyson for help with sectioning ideas. They don't have to actually give you the code, but they can help you figure out how you want to arrange your pieces. And then I'd also, reminder, I'm going to keep iterating this. I'll be back next week to help you more on that. And then you'll zip up the route and upload it by the due date. So this is your project while I am away. Okay? and it's going to be related to your entry task. You don't have to choose the thing you use for your entry task, but if you're already an expert on it, it makes it easy to write a Wikipedia page about it. So, how do you actually create these multi-page sites? It's very simple, but we need to start with a new root before we do anything too crazy, okay? So I'm going to go back to my file explorer. I'm just going to type file in my search bar because it's not on my bar down here. And I'm going to go into my OneDrive, where you guys have been saving your files thus far. And we're going to create a new folder like we did last time. So folders, they need to have the naming scheme that works for you. I'll do my version. You can copy my version, but whatever works for you, so you can clearly find it when you look for it later. That naming scheme, by clicking new folder, is starting with the year 2026, a period, and then the date that the folder or the file is created. So I do month day. You don't have to do month day. You can just do month. You can just do 2026. You can do whatever you want. I'm going to do month then day because this one's my version. You can do day month on yours. So I'm going to do 0309 because today's March 9th, and then a dash. Okay? Remember, you need your name on it in some capacity. So I'm going to put Blakeney. And then what I like to include as my third piece of info is what does the folder relate to? For us, this is project 2, so you can do proj, P-R-O-J, 2. Okay? And then you can hit enter, and that will create your root folder, which all we need to add to this root folder is one more subfolder that lives inside of this one called public, all lowercase. Public like so. Okay? Now we've got a new root configured. Remember, this is the way that roots get configured every time in web design, in the class at least. So we did this for assignment number 4, and then this is redoing it for project number 2. I will help you with it before the end of the day, okay? What I'm going to do next is open up this project number 2 root inside of VS Code. And after I do that, I'll be able to check where you're at with project 2. Okay, so give me just a second.
I don't speak code.
You will. So I'm going to open VS Code. This has got whatever I was working on last. This is assignment number 4. I'm going to go to File. I'll help you in just a second. I'll be right there, guys. Hold on. You go to File. You go Open Folder. And then we're going to find the new folder that we just created. 2026-0309, because today's the 9th of March, project number 2. And by selecting that, it's going to ask us if we trust the authors again. Yes, we do, because we're the ones who created them. And then now, this is where I'm going to stop and check you so far. Okay, so I'm going to take a lap. I'm going to help you as needed. If you're already here, just have the folder open. If you're not here yet, I will make sure that you get there. Remember, these things are processes. Sometimes they're a little bit annoying, but they are what needs to get done. Real quick, eyes back on the screen share, eyes back on the PowerPoint, please, because I want to start showing you how to start making these multi-page sites, okay? Before I show you, remember that these things are processes, and if you get stuck, I will help you get unstuck. Trust me, okay? It will be okay. All right, so we need to start our root with an index file. That's always going to be your home page, all right? And in order to do that, you want to click on this big empty gray space that you see right here until you see a thin blue outline around the edge, like this, or whatever theme you're working with. You just want to see this thin blue or thin colorful outline around the edge. That will create a new file inside of the root that we've all opened. You do that by clicking New File right here, and then you go to Text File right at the top. And then we're going to select a language as HTML, like you've been doing so far. Okay? To start our HTML pages, it's the exact same way every time. Shift comma, HTML, shift period, enter. That's going to create our HTML holder. And remember that our computers are very literal, so they're going to need this exact instruction. Okay? Once you type the shift comma, the letters HTML, and then the shift period, you're going to get these two right here. What we need to do now is save it so we don't lose so we know that this is going to the right spot before we do anything too crazy code-wise, okay? File, Save As, and by going File, Save As, because we all opened the root folder, it's already in the correct spot. However, right here down on the bottom where it says file name, you want this to just say index. Oops, my caps lock is on. Lowercase index, INDEX. And you're going to see that the save as type is HTML, and then we can click save. Now we've got a home page put together. Okay? What I want to show you before I check your work is how to start adding other pages to your site. And it all happens with the anchor tag. But in order for us to have an anchor tag, we need an href, right? Just like images need sources, just like whatever pieces need a completed attribute, we need to have the thing done first, okay? So what I'm going to do, thank you, is right-click with my middle finger in the big empty space until you see another new file, like this, okay? We're going to call this, all lowercase, page2.html, hit enter, and we're going to do that one more time. Right-click with your middle finger, new file. This one's going to be page 3 because our index page is page 1. So page 3, period, HTML. And that will give us 3 little orange kind of eyeballs, like the eyes of Sauron, because they are the little shift, comma, shift periods. Okay? And this is going to give us 3 blank HTML pages. But we need to add our HTML tag to page 2 and page 3 so that our computer understands the code that we're trying to write here. You're going to notice across the top that there are multiple tabs, just like in your browser, okay? Which allows you to work on multiple files at the same time. If we go to page 2 and shift comma our HTML, shift period, enter. We go to page 3 by clicking on the page 3 tab, shift comma, HTML, shift period, enter. That's going to give us 3 of the exact same page that we can create different content on. Okay?
It did it for me for this one.
Oh, cool.
How convenient.
That's work.
/HTML.
Good job. What we can do now, that inside of our root, and remember this is being recorded if you ever need to come back and rewatch it. I know I'm going fast, but I have a lot to get through today. Okay? We now have some hrefs that we can use for an anchor tag, okay? So the only thing that's going to be on this site so far is a shift comma, the letter A, space, href, enter, and inside of the quotes, you can put the exact file name of your other HTML pages, and they will become links once you complete the content part of the anchor sandwich, okay? Again, I'm going to help you in another wave in just a second. I want to get this all spread out so you can see it for later, okay? So if I wanted to put page 2 at this anchor, I would type out page 2, and you're going to see it appear in the little suggestion box. If you click on that, it will auto-add everything that file has inside of the, inside of the quotes. What we can do after that, shift period, it's going to add our second anchor tag, but it's not going to appear until we add some content in the middle here. And that content, you want your user to be easily understandable, which we're going to call page 2. Okay? I will help you in just a second, okay? Remember, some of us joined the class late, so there's some stuff you're playing catch up with. To recap, anchor tag with an href that has the name of the file, the other page that you're trying to link to, with the content that tells you what the page is. Okay? I'm going to do that one more time real fast for page 3. So A, href, enter, page3.html, shift period, not question mark, shift period, and then we're going to call this page 3. Okay? So now that this is on my home page, when I run this code, I'll be able to see these 2 links that link to these files, just like when you do an image to public. It's the same type of code that's happening right now. So, we've all got roots with HTML pages in the correct spots. Let's get all of these pages to have clean navigation. And how you do that is by taking the code you've already written and copying and pasting it to the other pages. Okay? Very simply, this is the last thing I'm going to check for, because with these pages, you'll be able to start creating your personal wikis by next Thursday. Okay? So our index page is always going to be our home page. This is always going to be the first one that loads. So this is where you're going to want to put as much of the information as possible, right? Our other two pages at the moment just have an HTML bucket. So if yours do not have an HTML bucket, that's what I'm going to be checking for as I click between these tabs, like you can see here. Okay. When you're creating navigation, you want your user, the people who are visiting the site, to be able to easily understand how to get around, right? When you walk up to a crosswalk, you know which button to press because it's generally in the same spot, right? Think of these buttons like a crosswalk button, okay? We need to be able to access each page from each other page so that we don't accidentally strand our users and then they have to go back. You don't want to accidentally put them on an island, okay? How you do that, even though it seems a little backwards, is by adding a link to the page you're currently on. So if I'm on my index page, I still want an anchor tag that links me to my index page, even though it's not going to do anything besides reload the index because it's already up, okay? So I'm going to do anchor href. I'm going to call it index, shift period, finish out my tag with, oh, not that one, like so, and then we're going to call this one index like this. On the home page, even though we've linked to the home page we're already on, we want to copy and paste all three lines of these code, all three of these anchor lines to our other two pages so that we're able to get around, okay? So simply Control C, I'm going to go to page 2, Control V, I'm going to go to page 3, Control V. Now, even though all three of these pages are exactly the same, we can still get to all three of them because we have a button on each in the form of an anchor that lets us get there, okay? The last thing I'm going to do, you don't have to do this part, but I want to show you how this works by running my code with the navigation box across the top, is I'm going to add just a very simple piece of code that's different on all three pages. So I'm going to start on my index, just use a basic paragraph tag, which you can do a shortcut like I did by typing the letter P and then hitting enter. And then we're going to call this index page. You can also use a header for this so it's clear which page you're on. Go to page 2, hit enter, press the letter P, hit enter again, call this page 2, and then we're going to go to page 3, go into my blank line that I have right here, the letter P, the enter key, I'm going to call this page 3. Okay? Control S to save all my work, and then I'm going to go to run and debug on my index page, and what you'll see, once I check your work, let me zoom in so you can see this a little bit better. You're going to see across the top the three anchor tags that we coded, as well as the paragraph that I wrote on the index page. And then when I click on page 2, it's going to load the page 2 HTML file. You're going to see it zoomed out because I'm no longer on the other page. It says page 2. My page 2 link is clicked. And then when I click on page 3, it's going to load the page 3 HTML page. And because we put navigation on all three of our subpages, we can get to each one from any spot. We don't accidentally strand ourselves as we click across these different pages. Okay? So if I put a bunch of code on my index page, I'm just going to do paragraph lorem, and then I'm going to copy a bunch of placeholder. Let's say this is your home page. Let's add a little header by typing H1, enter. I'm going fast just to show you. I'll check in a sec. Okay. All right. So then we go to, let's add some more lorem here. Again, I haven't taught you how to do this. I'm going fast because I want to show you the difference when you're in the multi-page, the multi-page setup. So copy that. We'll go 2 lines for page 2, and then we'll go 3 lines for page 3. Okay? Doom, doom, doom. Okay, so Control S to save, and then click my green refresh. When I go back to my output, you're going to see some code on there. Let me zoom out a little bit. Let me zoom out a little bit again. And then a third time. And what you're going to see, as we go across these different pages, because they have different sets of code on them, let me actually make this match so it looks the same, 200%. because they have different sets of code on them, and because we're telling them to load different files, you can start creating websites with multiple pages. And we have them all in one spot so that we can get around our site without getting stuck on the index page, or stuck on page 2, or stuck on page 3. Okay? Again, I know this went fast, but you know how to do anchors. You've done anchors before. Well, we're anchoring now. Instead of links to outside sources, is links to inside sources. The name of the specific file that we want to load when we click that specific button. Okay? How much time do we have left? Do we have 10 minutes or 5? We have 10. Okay. So I want to show you why we're doing this, as well as different resources that'll be helpful for you this week. You know you are getting it after today, and I highly recommend you review this video because I know I went really fast today. That'll let you stop and copy as it goes on. You know you're getting it because you understand how a multi-page site works with the anchor tag, like what I've shown you here. And you also know you're getting it because you can start to see how to arrange your elements on the page, like I did with the paragraph and the headers. Actually, maybe we didn't get to that today like I planned. And you know you're applying today's lesson by adding these new pages to your new route, which we've done. And we haven't really got to this part right here. This is more for the whole project, is communicating your information in an effective way. Why are we doing this? Okay. Understanding these multi-page links is going to further your web design skills because every website we've ever visited generally has multiple pages, right? Just like Canvas does, just like YouTube does. Those are my default examples, right? Those type of sites. By writing your own wiki, which is the point of this project, you get to communicate something that you care about. And by sharing your own wiki, if each of us creates these multi-page sites with information, the whole class is going to benefit from more knowledge, okay? By being able to choose what you put on your page, it makes it easier to complete because you like the topic, at least I hope. And again, because I'm absent this week, so you're practicing what we've covered so far in new ways, which shows you how you can apply the stuff I've taught you so far. This is what I mean when I mention it's snowballs, is all of these things pieced together. Anybody played Katamari, the video game where you like roll up the ball? No? Okay, that's fine. These things work like that, all right? Your exit task, I want to know what will you write your DIY wiki about? And again, I have to reiterate, so everybody knows for sure.